Well, hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to Live at 5 for the last day of January 2022. I cannot believe we're already through January. Like, time is flying so quickly. Well, guys, I do this stream at 5 p.m. every day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on my channel where I come live, and sometimes I talk about the news, sometimes I have a guest, sometimes I just, talk about spiritual stuff and tarot cards and things about that. Sometimes I just chat with the people sitting in my chat. Now today, what we're going to be talking about at Live at 5 is apparently, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but apparently Black Lives Matter is missing like $60 million and their leaders have disappeared. And the Washington Examiner did this great investigative article on the entire situation. And they're just like, literally 15 minutes ago, the New York Post published something about it that's a little bit of a follow up to it. So, what we're going to do on this stream is we are going to read those two articles. But before we get into that, I thought that we might just address the elephant in the room that people have been talking about for the last day, which is yes, it is true. The news is true. I am actually the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire nominee for governor. I assure you it was an accident. I assure you it was an accident. But, the great thing about this entire affair is that people have been, oh my God, they're having so many feelings about this entire thing. Essentially, what happened, for those of you who missed my effed up news stream yesterday, is this past weekend was the annual convention for the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. Jeremy Kaufman got nominated to run for U.S. Senate, which is amazing, and which is the campaign that I will be supporting. And as if by accident, I tripped and accidentally got nominated for governor. And libertarians far and wide all across the country are having feelings about this entire situation because Jeremy Kaufman was already spicy within the libertarian space. He's been in for a while. Like, I'm a relatively new libertarian. People didn't really know who I was. Maybe they had maybe heard of me for something but didn't really think too much of me. Now they're starting to pay attention. Apparently, that's what happens when you accidentally get nominated for governor. And they're having all sorts of feelings. And so there's this big thread about me on Reddit with people having some feelings about me being nominated for governor. The Fakeitarians, man, the Fakeitarians are having all sorts of feelings about both me and Jeremy. The Fakeitarians they're working it out. They're working through it. It's gonna be okay, guys. I promise you. I promise it's going to be okay. I would like to announce that I would like to officially accept the endorsement of a couple of people. I would like to accept the endorsement of Josh Slocum from Disaffected Podcast. Now, people thought he was tweeting about Joe Biden. No. I'm going to bet you my bottom dollar that he was absolutely tweeting about me, because this guy has been psychologically diagnosing me on the internet for the better part of a year. And Carrie Smith from Unsafe Space retweeted it. So, Carrie, I would like to accept your endorsement for governor of New Hampshire as well. Josh said, deliberate subtweet. If you are a political party who elevates a sadistic, lying, mentally unstable person to a leadership position after you've been shown who this person is, you get the royal screwing over you're going to get. Unfortunately, your stupidity is going to hurt good people volunteering for your party. You're going to get them harassed, libeled, destabilized because you put a predator inside your own house. Josh, thank you. Thank you for the epic endorsement for governor of New Hampshire. I accept your endorsement. Carrie, I accept your endorsement for governor of New Hampshire as well by virtue of you retweeting this. And guys, check this out. I even got endorsed by a current member of the LNC. Now, you might not think too much of Richard because he did turn his back on New Hampshire when we had a coup attempt, and Richard voted in favor of the people performing the coup. But Richard has come through with an endorsement. He posted on his Facebook page. And for those of you who don't know, like being a member of the LNC, he's basically currently on the governing board of the Libertarian National Party. But Richard has endorsed me and Jeremy. He says this needs to be said. I am extremely disappointed in the candidates nominated by the New Hampshire Libertarian Party this past weekend. The things said by your senatorial and gubernatorial candidates in the past may get them more press time, but will set the actual libertarian movement back years. You cannot be a Holocaust apologist or subscribe to race realism if you want to be taken seriously by the public at large. By putting these faces forward as your best candidates for the LP in New Hampshire, you have made us look foolish across the nation. Please, candidates, prove me wrong. Richard Longstreth, former candidate for Colorado's 2nd Congressional District 2016. So, Richard, I am thrilled to accept your endorsement for governor of New Hampshire as well. Thank you, Richard. You did not come through for us when some hostile actors attempted a hostile takeover of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. You voted against us, but no hard feelings, man. I accept your endorsement. Jess says I should make it into a t-shirt. Dude, I should totally make these endorsements into a t-shirt. I really should. Now, I do want to say, just for any libertarian that might be new to me, because I understand I'm new to your party. I've only been like a member for like a year. I just want to say, for those of you who are seeing people talk about her being a Holocaust, like a denier, Nazi apologist, and all this crap, none of that is true. I just want to provide a little, you know what we're gonna do in my campaign for governor of New Hampshire? We are going to make reality matter again. We're going to make reality matter again. So if you guys that are just discovering me have questions about those spicy tweets that you saw, I did a whole bunch of streams on them explaining, but let me just give you the too long didn't read version. For all the new libertarians visiting my feed, curious about why people think I'm a Nazi apologist, here's the real story. A tweet about a spiritual concept I believe applies to everyone, not just people who choose to be born Jews, but everyone, was taken out of context and twisted to mean something it wasn't. The end. I am not a Hitler apologist. I am not a Holocaust denier. The Holocaust happened. It was a horrific, tragic event. I've talked about it many times. This was a spiritual discussion that was taken out of context. And if you're really going to be the party of principle that you claim you are, you might want to look at things in a more nuanced way, because oftentimes outlandish things have a lot more nuance to them. And to be quite frank, if we are not allowed to talk about some of the most impactful tragedies in the history of humanity and look at them from a higher level perspective, then I just don't even know what we're doing here, man. I don't know what the purpose of having free speech is if we aren't allowed to talk about the hard stories and have uncomfortable discussions in the course of this thing that we call life. Also, just so you know, I have been endorsed by the #1 Jew of the New Hampshire Mises Caucus. Thank you, Zephin, for that endorsement as well. That was a real endorsement. He thinks I'm pretty awesome. Naruto says, can we get a slow clap for Evangeline Lilly? Yes, she went to the anti-mandate protest, so we will give her a slow clap. But guys, for real, what I'm not actually campaigning for governor. I'm not. I don't have a campaign. I'm not doing fundraising. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I am thrilled and honored by the endorsement of the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, and I will be on the ballot in New Hampshire because Ian and Justin figured out how to get both me and Jeremy on the ballot with no extra work, so fine, whatever. But I do want to tell everyone that the official candidate that I am supporting and the race that I will be putting my energy into is Jeremy Kaufman for Senate. Jeremy is awesome. This is a perfect race for him. We're going to do a lot of really awesome messaging. I'm thrilled to support Jeremy for Senate. And I would encourage everyone to make sure you donate to his campaign. Head over to jeremy4nh.com and you can learn more about his positions and you can learn more about his campaign. And best of all, you can make a financial contribution to support the work that all of us are doing, not just Jeremy, but all of us behind the scenes. There's a lot going on. We're going to have a lot more coming soon, but I'm extremely excited about it. And if you want to learn more about that, You're going to want to tune in tonight to Free State Live. You can head over. Justin O'Donnell's got all this information in his tweet. You can head over and listen to Free State Live tonight. They're on YouTube, Odyssey, and Facebook, and they're going to talk about the convention this past weekend with our fearless leader, Libertarian Party of New Hampshire Chair, Nolan Pelletier. So we'll be looking forward to that. All right, guys, we are going to jump in and we are going to talk about this BLM article that came out in the Washington Examiner over the weekend. BLM's millions unaccounted for after leaders quietly jump ship. Now, I haven't read this article yet, and I'm excited to explore it with all of you. But I also just want to point out, like, this article literally, like, 15 minutes before I went live, came out in the New York Post. BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors, who we know is a trained Marxist because she posted a video of herself on the internet saying she was a trained Marxist, tied to other groups with spending red flags. Huh. So for our stream here today, we're going to read both these articles and we're going to talk about it. And that's really all we're going to focus on for the stream today. But as a reminder, guys, if you enjoy the work I do and you want to keep me in the business of doing YouTube and streams and running for governor of New Hampshire and all that good stuff, there are several ways that you can help me out. Number one way you can help me out is by making sure you are subscribed to this channel. Fun fact: YouTube actually does not serve my videos to people who are not subscribed to the channel. 90% of the people watching this video today will be subscribed to the channel. So if you ended up here and you're not subscribed, congratulations, you went down some YouTube rabbit hole. I don't know what you did, but I'm happy you made it. But please make sure you're subscribed. Please mount that like button for me. We don't smash the like button on this channel, we mount it. And please make sure you've given the video a thumbs up and do all that good stuff. But the other thing you can do is check out my new book, forthcoming book, Actively Unwoke, which is a book all about how you fight back against woke chaos in your life. It is your woke decoder ring. It has case studies. It has tips and tricks. It has all sorts of good stuff. You can head over to activelyunwoke.com right now and pre-order your copy. But you can also, more importantly, sign up for this webinar that I'm giving tomorrow. This is going to be Critical Race Theory 101 Introduction. I'm calling it Understanding the Danger of Critical Race Theory for Normal People because I've done my very best to put it in normal person language so anyone can understand it. If you feel like you've already got a good grasp on critical race theory, please, please, please share this out with your friends and family. Get them signed up. Give them a chance to ask questions, to really learn what this is. This is based on a highly practical approach. This is based on me watching thousands and thousands of hours of videos of critical race theory training and practice and speeches and presentations and curriculum and all this crap. I put in the work, guys. I have done the work and I understand what they're doing and I've decoded it for everyone. Naruto says Whoopi Goldberg says the Holocaust wasn't about race. I did hear that, but then someone else on that show said the Holocaust was about white supremacy, which I was extremely confused by. Do you guys think I'd make a good host of The View? I think I'd be an excellent addition to The View. I think it might drive me insane, more insane than I already am, but I think I would make an excellent addition myself. Anywho, so make sure you're signed up for the webinar. That's going live tomorrow at noon. Part of the reason I'm only doing one story today is I actually have to finish the presentation deck, but it's done. It just needs some tweaks. It's going to be awesome, though. I'm really looking forward to it. We've got some other events going on as well. You can check out the live events page on activelyunwoke.com if you want more. But one of the very best things you could do to support the work I do is by becoming a member of my locals community. You can head over and do that at kb.locals.com/support. You can become a supporter for $5 a month. You can become a supporter of $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. You can also make a one-time gift. You can also make one-time gifts in crypto and PayPal as well. And all that information is in the description below. But I really prefer you guys do it through locals because that means you unlock all our features, including at 7 p.m. today, in just 2 short hours, less than 2 short hours, I will be jumping on a private Zoom call with my locals members. I love my local Zoom calls. They are the very best part of my week. We do them twice a week. We do them on Monday and we do them on Wednesday. And if you are a supporter in my locals community, you can jump on the Zoom call too. You can talk to me. You can talk to other members of the community. A lot of my locals, well, some of my locals members are in the chat here today, so you can ask them about it and what they love about it. But I really, like I say it all the time, I don't have the biggest community on locals, but I strongly feel that I have the best community on locals. And the reason I have the best community on locals is because we all get to know each other and help each other and support each other on our local Zoom calls that we do on Mondays and Wednesdays. We've also got a craft and bitch coming up. We've got a book club coming up. We're doing all sorts of stuff. Head over to locals, kv.locals.com/support, and you can sign up and join with all of us. All right, let's jump in to this article. Now, I have not read this article yet because I wanted to read it to you guys. And then we can talk about it. And I really do want to hear your opinions about this as well because I'm gonna be unpacking this situation on the fly. Now, I know it probably shouldn't come as a surprise that Black Lives Matter is up to shady shit. I'm sure that is a great surprise for everyone who is watching here today. You mean the organization that every single Democrat politician, that every single workplace, that all of these influencers said that we should all be donating our hard earned money to? You mean to tell me it wasn't above board? I am shocked. I am shocked by this revelation. I am shocked by the revelation that this could happen. I know all of you guys share that shock with me. Let's read. No one appears to have been in charge at Black Lives Matter for months. The address it lists on its tax forms is wrong, and the charity's two board members won't say who controls its $60 million payroll, a Washington Examiner investigation has found. BLM's shocking lack of transparency surrounding its finances and operations raises major legal and ethical red flags, multiple charity experts told the Washington Examiner. Like a giant ghost ship full of treasure drifting into the night with no captain, no discernible crew, and no clear direction, Charity Watch executive director Lori said of BLM. BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors appointed two activists to serve as the group's senior directors following her resignation in May amid scrutiny over her personal finances. Oh, I didn't even realize she officially resigned. That's interesting. But both quietly announced in September that they never took the jobs due to disagreements with BLM. They told the Washington Examiner they don't know who now leads the nation's most influential social justice organization. Do you mean to tell me that Marxists didn't know how to run a nonprofit effectively? Guys, they're going to be in deep legal shit because, like, when you're talking about nonprofits, these are tax exempt organizations. They need to be audited. Exactly. Exactly, Patrisse. BLM is asking to be audited. They are in such deep shit. It's not even funny. Paul Kamenar, I guess, counsel for conservative watchdog group National Legal and Policy Center, said a full audit investigation into Black Lives Matter's Global Network Foundation, the legal entity that represents the national BLM movement, is warranted. This is grossly irregular and improper for a nonprofit with $60 million in its coffers. BLM previously came under fire from local Black activists after the New York Post reported in April that Cullors, then its executive director, had spent $3.2 million on real estate across the United States. The report followed BLM's disclosure in February 2021 that closed out 2020 with $60 million in its bank accounts. BLM, I mean, where did all the rest of the money go? Because I mean, $60 million is like a lot of money in and of itself, but didn't Black Lives Matter raise like significantly more than $60 million? Oh, let me make this bigger for you guys. Sorry about that. But like, remind me in the chat, didn't Black Lives Matter raise like significantly more than $60 million? Where did all that money go? I did actually get an email from BLM earlier. We're going to look at the email I got earlier too. This just reminded me of that. I do know that BLM was investing in getting their curriculum into schools. I know that's something they were doing. Did they spend tens of millions of dollars on that? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. BLM denied allegations that Colors spent BLM funds on her personal properties. However, BLM and other activist organizations under Colors' control offered contracts to an art company led by the father of her only child, the Daily Caller reported. What is that about? Hang on. What is this about? When was this? Oh, this was back in November. Okay. Oh, no, it was back in May. Okay, this is a while ago. Never mind. Colors announced in May she was stepping down and that activists Makani Themba and Monifa Bendel would lead the organization as senior executives. But Themba and Bendel revealed in September that they never actually took the job because of disagreements with BLM's acting leadership council. What the hell is an acting leadership council? So we've got Monica right or Makina. I don't know how to pronounce that. McKenney. I don't know how to pronounce names. I don't know how to pronounce names, especially not on the fly. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing everyone's name. My name gets mispronounced all the time, so I have great sympathy for your struggles, but that doesn't make me any better at pronouncing names. I'm sure I'm a racist or something, like whatever. All right. Here's what they posted. Excuse me. Here's what they posted back in September. First of all, we want to express our thanks to all those who expressed their support and solidarity upon the news of us being asked to serve as interim senior co executives of the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, BLMNGF. That's a horrible acronym. We are honored by your trust. We are issuing this statement as an update. Although a media advisory was released indicating that we were tapped to play the role of senior co-executives at BLMGNF, we are not able to come to an agreement with the Acting Leadership Council about the scope of work and authority. Oh, I see what happened. There was a power struggle. So what probably happened is they didn't define clear roles and scope, and they're calling them both senior co-executives, but not really. It's kind of one of those things that like they probably wanted more power than the people who are actually running BLM were willing to give them. And if they're experienced, they would know that. As a result, we did not have the opportunity to serve in this capacity. We wanted to be sure to inform our community of this fact as we move on to serve our movement in other ways. We wish BLMGNF the best and hope that someday soon there will be an established leadership structure that draws on the strengths of the Black Lives Matter grassroots network. That is such a dig. That is such a dig. They're basically saying, okay, here, let me summarize this. They're basically saying, you guys are a shit show and we don't want to be involved, and we definitely don't want to be blamed for any of the mistakes that you have made in the running of the organization thus far. And you're setting up to take, you know what I bet happened? I bet they saw under the hood enough to know that this was a shady operation. And they were like, you're not pinning this on us. This is like, you know what it was? Do you guys remember when the whole Afghanistan debacle went down and Kamala was heard screaming, like they asked Kamala to address the nation or something, and she was heard screaming, "You're not pinning this shit on me." This is exactly the same thing. These two women were probably close enough to see the shit show that was going on at Black Lives Matter, and they were like, nope, not gonna be your fall, guys. Sorry. We take heart in the knowledge that our people will be free, and that we are a strong and resilient movement, and that the ecosystem of the organization fighting for Black liberation is as strong as ever. Well, apparently not $60 million strong, as it turns out. So that was back in September. Both Themba and Bendel told the Washington Examiner, sorry guys, I'm having some issues with my throat today. Jeez on crow, what is going on? Can't even read an article. Hang on, let me get some water. In the meantime, mount that like button if you haven't already. I appreciate it. Goodness. Goodness. It's gotta be winter in New Hampshire. That's why this is happening. Anytime it's like cold and dry, like my throat gets all scratchy. All right. Both Themba and Bendel told the Washington Examiner that they did not know who took over as BLM's top executive after their departure, and neither would say who served on the council. Why would they be hiding who serves on the leadership council? Why would they be why would Black Lives Matter, a they are a nonprofit. Can someone just confirm for me in the chat that they are like a 501c3 or something? If you know, don't go out of your way to confirm it. But like they are a nonprofit, so this technically should be public information. Who is on Black Lives Matter's secret leadership council? And why is the leadership council secret? That makes no sense. We never actually started in the position, so we never received that information. Bullshit. Bullshit. I don't believe that at all. They knew who was on that council. I mean, that's just a hunch. I don't have any reason. I'm going to be very clear. I'm not presenting evidence that they know or not. It is a hunch based on working with a lot of organizations like this during hiring process like this. They knew who was on. If How is it possible that they wouldn't know who's on the leadership council if they were in negotiations with the leadership council, which they said here, we couldn't come to an agreement with the acting leadership council. Okay, so that means that you were literally in negotiations with the leadership council. If you couldn't come to an agreement with the leadership council, that means you were in negotiations with them. So who were you negotiating with? Don't tell me you don't know who's on that leadership council. I bet you Patrice Cullors is. I bet you she is. It doesn't make sense for her not to be. That other Jenny says, I don't know about you, but I can't wait for BLM to get the Big Short treatment. Oh, we might get that would be like Christmas, wouldn't it? Brian, thank you for confirming it is a 501c3. Yeah, that leadership council should not be secret. Sorry. Sorry, that's not kosher. And that's a lie. So we now know we never actually started in the position, so we never received detailed information about who works on the leadership council. We now know that we cannot trust what either of these two say. Now, they did now I'm going to say this. They did do something respectable, which is they did not accept the job, right? So I suppose on some level we have to give them points for like not accepting the job. But I don't believe a word that comes out of either of these two's mouths because they're making shit up. Obviously, they knew who was on the leadership council. When a charity's finances are ultimately the responsibility of its board of directors, BLM bylaws explicitly states that its executive director shall have charge of all funds and securities of the corporation. The two remaining BLM board members, Bowers and Howard, did not return numerous requests for comment asking who has been in charge of BLM and its money since Colors left the charity in May. I would be shocked if she wasn't on the leadership council. I would be shocked. Bowers served as the treasurer for multiple activist organizations run by Colors, including BLM PAC. I got an email from BLM PAC like half an hour ago. And a Los Angeles based jail reform group that paid Colors $20,000 a month and dropped nearly $26,000 for meetings at a luxury Malibu beach resort in 2019. Bowers declined to comment when reached by phone on Monday. Howard has spoken openly on Facebook about his work with BLM and his close relationship with Colors, but he appears to have recently taken steps to conceal his role with the charity. As recently as last Friday, Howard's LinkedIn profile stated that he is the director of operations for an international social justice organization. His page was modified after the Washington Examiner contacted Howard for comment, and now he states he serves as the director of operations for a nonprofit. A reference to Howard's position as the finance and operations manager of the New Impact Partners, a Dayton, Ohio based consulting firm owned by his sister, was also removed from his LinkedIn profile. Also, as recently as last Friday, a website for new impact partners attributed a quote to Raymond from Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, thanking the consulting firm for its help in solving BLM's organizational challenges. Oh, isn't that interesting? The attribution was removed from the website after the Washington Examiner asked Howard how much BLM paid his sister's firm. Let's take a look at what they've got there. They've got it all archived, man. Good on the Washington Examiner. We'll let that load for a second. Hopefully, it loads soon. Come on, internet. I believe in you. I have the highest speed internet that Comcast has. There it is. Oh, here it is right here. New impact partners help my team narrow in on the root cause of our organizational challenge. Together, we truly partner to define solutions and created a set of clear priorities. That is like one of these generic statements that doesn't actually mean anything that goes on websites all the time. All right. So they had this quote from BLM on the New Impact Partners website. So this is all just very incestuous, is what we're learning. Despite New Impact Partners' apparent efforts to conceal its affiliation with BLM, the consulting firm continues to solicit applications for its talent network, which it says will connect job applicants directly to BLM and other activist organizations. Longtime charity expert Doug White says it's a red flag that BLM won't answer basic questions about its finance or leadership structure. Well, I mean, to be quite frank, what the hell is the name of that form? There is a form. What is the name of, does anyone know the non, like, Guide Star? God damn it. Sorry. Let me just look something up. I cannot remember the name of this form that nonprofits have to fill out. But if you go on the website Guide Star, you can look them up. We'll get that. But there's a form that nonprofits have to fill out as part of like their tax exempt status where they have to list their senior executives and they have to list the salaries of those senior executives. Does anyone know what form I'm talking about? Oh, this is going to drive me crazy. So this all should be reported. So fun fact, anytime you want to know how much money a college president makes or any, yes, well, maybe it's that. I don't know if that's what it is, Cider. Anytime you want to know how much money a college president makes or like the leadership team at any nonprofit, you can go on websites like GuideStar, which is not loading right now for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm streaming. Yeah, GuideStar Form 990. That's it. Form effing 990. That's it. So you have to fill out Form 990, which you have to list on the form your senior executives and the salaries that they're making and the benefits. So you can find out how much college presidents make like rather easily. I'm actually going to use this strategy. So on my list of to do things for like actively unwoke, what I want to do is make a list of like chief diversity officers, especially at colleges and universities and their corresponding salaries. I want to have it be really simple on actively unwoke so people can just go and look it up. And you can find all that information with sites like guidestar.org or things like that. Just find their Form 990 because that will list it all on there. Anywho, $60 million is not chump change, White said. What BLM does is of tremendous social importance. Well, that, we can beg to differ. That they won't give an honest or complete or straightforward answer in regards to its leadership is concerned. Not only do they not have an executive director right now, we think, but they also don't want to tell you how the organization is being run. BLM was not a charity in its own right for much of 2020, a year in which it received a windfall of cash from big corporations and individual donors, spurred by the police killing of George Floyd and the nationwide riots that followed. Rather, BLM spent most of the year essentially borrowing the charitable status of two other California based charities, Thousand Currents and Tide Foundations, which served as BLM's fiscal sponsors. All right. Do you guys remember when I was railing on FAIR for like a week? Maybe a couple weeks. I was railing on FAIR a little bit. I'm not a fan of FAIR. The Foundation for Intolerance and Racism, against intolerance and racism, or whatever the hell the name of this organization is. FAIR is a multi-million dollar nonprofit in the anti-woke, anti-CRT space. It was started by Melissa Chen and Barry Weiss and this jackass named Bayan who runs it now. And Bayan is an absolutely toxic leader. And I had started talking about how toxic Bayan was. And part of the things that I was talking about was I didn't understand why on their website they were directing donations to an advocacy fund rather than for their nonprofit. And part of the thing that is confusing to me about FAIR is right now FAIR is operating under the status of fiscal sponsors for their nonprofit arm. I was curious about whether or not FAIR had actually talked about had actually filed for their 501c3 status or 501c4 status. I still don't know the answer to that. I've quite frankly moved on. FAIR is still sketchy as shit. No one should trust buy-in. That organization is going to fall apart. My professional opinion as an organizational psychologist. Listen, man, you cannot have a legitimate narcissist at the helm of an organization, and I have no reason to think that he is anything other than a legitimate narcissist based on the breadth that I've heard from people who've interacted with him. If you have a narcissist at the head of an organization, one of two things is going to happen. Eventually, that narcissist is going to become untenable to the organization and he's going to get the boot, which is damn well what should happen with FAIR. But the other thing that could happen is the organization just starts to fall apart because all their good people leave and then they become really ineffectual. I don't know why people are donating all that money to FAIR, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's a different topic for a different day. But it looks like BLM did the same thing. BLM had fiscal sponsors through 2020, which is when they brought in the vast majority of their boatload of money. But it seems as though at some point they attained 501c3 status. Now, I think we can probably surmise, based on what I'm reading in this article, that BLM's founders and the people running it had no idea what actually attaining 501c3 status meant or the requirements that they had to meet. So what I'm saying, this is a very long-winded way of saying, it's time for an audit, mother effers. They have set themselves up so beautifully for an audit. Kelly O'Daniel says, would be interested to see the org's articles of incorporation or their Secretary of State filings, which I believe you have to list its board members. I agree, Kelly. I think that is a very helpful suggestion to any journalist who might be watching this stream and is interested in looking into such affairs. I think it's a great suggestion. But the IRS granted BLM tax-exempt status in December 2020, enabling the group to operate as a charity independent of its former fiscal sponsors. And Thousand Currents reported that its most recent audited financial statements that it transferred $66.5 million directly to BLM's coffers in October 2020. Okay. So when an organization has a fiscal sponsor as a nonprofit, basically that fiscal sponsor is responsible for making sure you don't screw up. That's what it is. The fiscal sponsor is responsible for the actions of the organization they're sponsoring. Okay. So it seems like what happened is they had this fiscal sponsor that was like keeping their money and probably keeping an eye on things and making sure they were following all the rules. And then in December 2020, when they got their own 501c3 status, they got all their money, probably had no idea how to operate any of this because being an activist does not necessarily translate into being a nonprofit executive. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? Color signed the asset transfer on behalf of BLM on September 16, 2020, according to a copy of the agreement provided to the Washington Examiner by the California Office of the Attorney General. BLM published a report last February saying it had incurred $8.4 million in operating expenses in 2020 and that it closed out the year with $60 million under its control. But BLM reported to the IRS in August 2020 that it expected to incur precisely $12.7 million in professional fees expenditures during the same calendar year, a figure 4.3 million higher than the top line spending figure it later reported to the public in February. Kaminer says his watchdog group believes there should be a full audit of BLM to clear up the spending discrepancy. Bottom line, a lot of questionable activity, organizational structure, location of the books, etc., that calls for a full investigation. Here we go. Form 990. Data that should be contained within BLM's Form 990 tax return for 2020, which was due to the IRS in November, would help clear up the organization's $4.3 million spending discrepancies. Yes, it would. On Tuesday, a Washington Examiner reporter attempted to request BLM's 2020 Form 990 in person at the charity's office in Los Angeles, which the group disclosed as its location. Its books are stored in previous filings submitted to the IRS, only to be told by a security guard that there has never been a BLM office at that location. Ooh, the plot thickens. An unidentified BLM spokesperson informed the Washington Examiner on Thursday that the group does not currently maintain a permanent office and offered to mail a copy of its 990 within 2 weeks. Alan Dye, a partner at Webster, Chamberlain and Bean, who specializes in nonprofit law, told the Washington Examiner that charities that don't submit their Form 990 on time could face fines from the IRS and some state-level charity oversight agencies. Striron, the Charity Watch executive director, said Form 990 are matters of public record and that BLM should have completed its 2020 form by now. Yep. Irrespective of where any person falls on the political spectrum or what their position is on any social justice issue, hopefully we can all agree that tax-subsidized public charities have an ethical responsibility to be transparent with the public about how they're operating and how donations they receive are being used. The amount of money involved here is not insignificant. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, BLM. Well, you know what's funny, though, is I got an email right before this. Hang on, let me make sure. Let me make sure you can't see any information you're not supposed to see. Hang on. Okay, I got an email like an hour ago from the BLM PAC. Carlin, voting rights and abortion rights are under relentless attack. Within the last 3 weeks alone, we've seen over 100 bills, 3 exclamation points, filed in state legislators across the country that will restrict access to the ballot. We can officially say the right to safely access abortion and reproductive care can no longer be guaranteed. These attacks hurt our fundamental rights about a specific goal in mind, to hurt Black communities and to make white supremacy permanent. To make matters worse, far-right extremists have been counting their wins, rather. Between an abortion ban being greenlit by the Supreme Court, legislation from local and national levels introduced to weaken our democracy, as well as school boards choosing to ignore the history of slavery and systemic racism in this country in an effort to ban critical race theory, it doesn't end. But I thought critical race theory wasn't taught in K through 12 schools. Why would it matter if we ban it? Different question for a different day, I suppose. That day is tomorrow, actually. We'll be talking about it in my webinar. Republicans continue to empower extremist voices to continue to systematically strip away the liberties of Black folks across the country. Carlin, we cannot stay silent while we risk the loss of our fundamental rights. We must work together to show white supremacy the door at the ballot box across the country. Rush a donation to BLM PAC today to help elect legislators across the country dedicated to fighting for Black liberation. So, of course, even though we don't know where that $60 million is, they still want some more money. They've squirreled away $60 million somewhere, probably buying Patrice another house or something. But they want more money. White supremacy has been entrenched for far too long within both our political and electoral systems, and Republicans continually choose to enable individuals who want to maintain oppressive systems present throughout all areas of our society. Even worse, the GOP wants to further erase the country's racist past by teaching the next generation in our public schools that racism is no longer an issue. Again, these people say every single day that critical race theory isn't taught in K through 12 schools. So why are we making the argument that anyone wants to change anything that's taught in the public schools? It makes no sense. The elections last November taught us an important lesson. We must organize early and invest in campaigns of leaders who fight for positive change in Black communities. With voter suppression on the rise, reproductive rights in peril, and the censorships of America's racism escalating in our public schools, now is not the time. Now is the time to act. Our grassroots effort to mobilize Black voters and support candidates who will serve our communities rely on donations sent by individuals like you. Every dollar will make a difference. In solidarity. So they're still asking for money, even as all this is going on, which I just found rather interesting. But I wanted to follow up because I wanted to check out this article that was just posted in the New York Post today. Hang on, hang on, hang on. BLM co founder Patrice Cullors tied to other groups with spending red flags. You don't say. You don't say. Black Lives Matter founder Patrice Cullors, who resigned in the wake of a post expose of her spending spree on lavish homes, is tied to several other fundraising organizations whose finances raise potential red flags, according to a new report. One of these groups, Reform LA Jails, in 2019 collected more than 1.4 million, of which 205,000 went to a consulting company owned by Cullors and her spouse. So basically, it was a money laundering organization. That's what that just told us. She was running a freaking money laundering organization, for crying out loud. Another 211,000 was paid to Colors pal Asha Bendel. Oh, really? Is that the same one? Is that the same Bendel that was over here? Hang on. Is it Ben or Bandel? Oh, no, different one. Different. This is Monifa, not to be confused with Asha. Is the name the same? Are these two related? Is Monifa Bendel the same as Asha Bendel? Because that seems like a weird coincidence to me. Why do they have the same last name? That seems weird. Anyway, another 211,000 was paid to Colors pal Asha Bendel, who co-wrote her memoir, and about 86,000 was paid to an entertainment clothing and consulting company called Trap Heels, which was started by Damon Turner, the father of Colors' child, according to the report. So this is just all levels of incestuous, is what they're telling us. Reform LA Jails also reportedly paid $270,000 to a consulting company run by its treasurer, Kreisman Bowers, also known as something Bowers, I don't know how to pronounce that name, and has signed tax documents as the deputy executive director of Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, which reportedly has $60 million in its coffers, but no leaders since Colors quit under fire in May. So I think that we can reasonably assume that this person is on that leadership council. Was that person mentioned in this article? Hang on. Was there a Bowers person? I feel like there was. There was! There it is, right there. The two remaining BLM board members. Bowers is also involved in at least 3 other groups that Colors started or helped lead, including Dignity and Power Now, Justice LA, and the Justice Teams Network, between which money has passed, New York said, citing official offer. These people are just like professional activists, right? Like, how many organizations do you really need if you aren't money laundering? Like, why do we need 87 different activist organizations? It's like they just kept trying and 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 trying until they eventually hit on something that was like made them millions and millions of dollars without them really having to do anything. And then they all bought expensive houses. And then they all pieced out when they realized they were going to get caught and audited. That's probably what happened. These are like professional activists who just kept starting new organizations, probably use the organizations to launder the money from the other organizations, then accidentally stumbled into BLM, which they're like, ooh, shit, we can make more money doing this than anything else we ever done. And then all of a sudden, it all goes awry and we wonder why. Jeffrey, a nonprofit lawyer in Washington, D.C., told the magazine that various payments may have violated state and federal laws that prohibit self dealing and transactions among related parties. The transactions at issue certainly raise eyebrows and potential red flags, he says. A California activist who claimed Black Lives Matter got rich off grassroots organizers like himself is now raising questions about the group's finances after it disclosed it had $60 million in its coffers. Tori Johnson, who launched Black Lives Matter Huntington Beach is awesome. I used to have a consulting client out in that area, so I got to stay there quite a bit. That's pretty great. Anyway, who launched Black Lives Matter Huntington Beach following the May 2020 murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, organized a counter protest to a White Lives Matter rally in California City in April 2021. White Lives Matter, bad. Bad people. Johnson told New York Magazine that he and fellow protesters were shot with rubber bullets at the Huntington Beach Pier rally and were jailed afterwards. 12 people in all were arrested, the Los Angeles Times reported. What up? What up, Sticky Icky Ricky? Always changing your name on me but keeping that same picture so I know who you are at least. Thanks for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate it. I would just like everyone to call me Madam Governor from now on. We've ascended. Just in case people didn't think I was narcissistic enough, I would like everyone to refer to me as Madam Governor from here moving forward. I'm just saying. Just to piss off the haters. They would hate it so much. It would be so great. Anyway, you don't really have to call me Madam Governor. I'm just joking. Unless you want to, in which case it's your decision. At about the same time as the rally, BLM co founder and executive director Patrisse Cullors was urging followers to join her for an online F white supremacy Let's Get Free event. Days earlier, Cullors and the Black Lives Matter Global Network announced Johnson's planned counter protest while insinuating such actions may be dangerous. For that reason, we are not supporting or affiliated with any counter protests you may hear about being organized in Huntington Beach or anywhere else at this time, the group said in a statement. Johnson's group, whose Facebook page had roughly 280 members, is not officially recognized by BLM and receives no financial backing from the larger organization, despite having a familiar moniker, according to the report. I would love for a British boy to say, "Shine your shoes, governor." That'd be pretty great, actually. Johnson, who fled the April 2021 counter protest in a private car out of concerns for his safety, says groups like the NAACP started pulling their support from the Cullors statement. To be a grassroots organizer trying to stop a freaking KKK rally in a city, why would you try to stop that? I mean, listen, man, that's actually a really good question. Why would it's not as though BLM has never been involved in anything dangerous in the history of BLM? BLM is at least partially responsible for $2 billion worth of property damage. So it's not as though BLM is opposed to being involved in things like this. Of course they're in favor of it. So why did they pull out? That's a really good question. Excuse me, Madam Governor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for referring to me by my proper title. Or we can call, like, if we want to call me like Governor elect, that'd be pretty rad too. I'm just kidding. I'm really kidding. God, don't clip that. Of course, someone's going to clip it and they're going to be like, Carlin is such a narcissist. She wants everyone to call her the governor. Jesus Christ. Instead of attending or supporting the counter protest, Cullors could be seen live on YouTube during the event sponsored by UGG. Some 6 weeks later, she resigned, saying she wanted to focus on books and a production deal with Warner Brothers. Does she still have a production deal with Warner Brothers? Well, that wouldn't be kosher. Johnson had previously sent people who asked him how they could help BLM to the global network site, and now he's asking questions about the group, disclosed it had some $60 million on hand. I don't tell people what I'm actually doing, though, Johnson said, who told New York Magazine he feels disavowed and abandoned by BLM. Oh, so they're eating themselves. I don't tell people how stressed I actually am, but I actually have to live through all of this. They got rich off my back. Well, it wasn't exactly your back, dude. You had 280 members in your group. Let's not pretend you're bringing in millions. You're not. The Post reported in April that Colors went on a real estate buying binge earlier, scooping up 4 high-end homes for 3.2 million in the US, including in Los Angeles and Georgia. She also had a property in the Bahamas at a resort where Justin Timberlake and Tiger Woods both have homes. Colors had denied BLM organizations were used to buy the upscale residences, resigned a month later with these activists taking her place. But now we know that these activists never actually took her place. This is basically restating it. Color's wife snagged the 10,000 square foot mansion for 6.3 million in cash in July 2021. Where'd they get $6.3 million? Where'd they get $6.3 million? The purchase of the Toronto property surfaced over growing concerns about the activist group lack of transparency. And so this would have also been after, by the way, this would have been after they became a 501c3. So they had already ridded themselves of their fiscal sponsors. It remains unclear who is running BLM now, as Themba and Bendel said they never actually took jobs while citing disagreement with the Leadership Council. It's also unclear how many official chapters BLM currently has. New York Magazine reported a spokesperson for the 10 chapters cited in the fall of 2020 declined to comment, but says questions about its finances does not move the movement forward and leads to more online harassment of Colors. I would be shocked if she was not involved. I would be shocked beyond belief if Patrisse Cullors was not still involved with all of this. Of course she is. Come on. But organizers associated with the larger movement, like Johnson, are calling for more clarity about how BLM's money is collected and spent, New York Magazine reported. A message seeking comment from BLM was not returned on Monday. Lisa Simpson, the mother of an 18-year-old black man killed by the LAPD in 2016, told New York she got involved with BLM's Los Angeles chapter after her son's death. A co-founder of BLM in LA and a co-director of the BLM grassroots, a tier of officially recognized. This article needed a proofread, by the way, New York Post. Proofread. A tier of officially recognized chapters stood alongside Simpson while calling on people to donate $5,000 for Richard's funeral. But Simpson says she's never received any funds from the national group to help pay for her son's service. She's now living in a motel room with her 13-year-old child, rented by the week, and claims BLM left her high and dry. Y'all out here false flagging in this fight. Called out. Simpson told New York Magazine of BLM's public stances. They're putting hashtags on our kids and they're not even helping us. We're homeless and we can't get no type of help from this entity. So BLM is in a little bit of trouble. You hate to see it. You do. Kelly says Asha and Monifa appear to be sisters, both activists. Monifa linked to the article with her husband and daughters being named a coolest black family in America. Thank you, Kelly, for that update. So yeah, they're all related. This is all a deeply incestuous organization. Probably none of them knew what they were doing. I pray that these people get audited. That would be amazing. All right, guys, that's all I have for this stream today. To be honest, I got some work to do because in 1 hour, I will be gathering with my locals community on a Zoom call We can talk about how incompetent BLM is. We can talk about the amazing truckers in Canada. Have you guys ever seen more of a white pill than what Ottawa looks like right now? It's incredible. It's really, really heartwarming. I was a little dejected at at frankly the lack of attendance at the anti mandate march in DC. I was basically like, no one cares. No one will get off their ass. Conservatives never do anything. They never go to rallies. They never do anything. Like they couldn't even get 100,000 people when cities in Europe have been having these huge anti-mandate protests for months and months and months. And I was feeling a little dejected. And then the Canadians, not even just the Canadians, the truckers in Canada are here to save us all. Justin Trudeau's running like a little bitch. I don't believe Trudeau has COVID. I don't believe he does. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think Justin Trudeau has COVID? I don't think he does. I think he's a liar. He made a statement today. Why would he make a statement like that in public if he was quarantining? Makes no sense. Anyway, we'll talk about this on my locals call in about an hour. You can still plenty of time to join. Head over to kb.locals.com, become a supporter. And when you become a supporter, it's as simple as $5 a month, so less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks. You can do it for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. You can also make a one-time gift. You will get access to our locals community Zoom. You can join all of us. I promise you, my locals members are sane. They are very welcoming. We will invite you in. We will welcome you into our crazy community. We will give you a place of sanity, a momentary reprieve from this crazy internet. And also remember, guys, make sure that you're supporting Jeremy Kaufman for Senate. And, if you really want to piss people off, you can support me for governor too. But we really want to make sure to support Jeremy's campaign. Listen, guys, for real, you're going to be hearing a lot about this campaign over the course of this year. I am sorry if you are not interested in libertarian politics, but I think this is going to be really exciting. I think that Jeremy's going to push the messaging on things. If you have a spare $5 or $10, we are taking donations at jeremy4nh.com. And I'm really excited that to have you guys, follow this crazy journey. I think the campaign team is awesome. It's really an all hands on deck type of thing that's going on right now. I think we're going to have some great messaging. I think it's going to be really entertaining. I think Jeremy's first video is going to be awesome. I have full respect. And this is the serious campaign that we want everyone supporting. Jeremy Kaufman for Senate for New Hampshire. It's time to make America, New Hampshire. All right, guys, I'm going to jet. I will see my locals members in about an hour. And of course, I will be back here tomorrow for Live at 5. Because we go live every single day on this channel, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, except actually program note. I'm getting a tattoo on Thursday. So I don't think I'm going to go live at 5 on Thursday, but I may go live later. I'm trying to figure out also a meet. There might be a meeting for Jeremy's Senate stuff. So I may have to cancel on Thursday, or I may go live a little bit later in the day. We're going to play it by ear. But I will definitely be back tomorrow at 5, and then of course tomorrow at 9:30 for my regular show with Joshua. And I'll see my locals members in about an hour. Take care, guys. We'll see you.